Welcome to this presentation. This accounting topic is delivered for third year business students. It's normally towards the end of third year, so students have prior knowledge and have a better understanding of the key terms. At the end of this topic, we want the students to be able to assess the financial performance of an organisation at the end of a trading period. Students should be able to analyse and evaluate the organisation's financial position and recommend a course of action. The learning intentions for this presentation is to describe the different teaching methodologies used to deliver this topic, explain how differentiation will be included, examine prior knowledge for this topic, understand the different methods that would be used for assessment, demonstrate how an introductory lesson would be conducted, and discuss the areas that students will find most difficult. Prior knowledge. Students will have already completed 1.13 Income and Expenditure Bank Statements, 2.10 Business Documents, 2.11 Cash Flow Forecast, 2.12 Cash Book Ledgers and Trial Balance, 3.2 Circular Flow of Income, and although it's not heavily linked, 2.9 will have some terminology that will help them. Activating prior knowledge by using higher and lower order questions to refresh and activate prior knowledge. It will help give the students confidence that they do know something about the topic, they can relate to the previous topics that they've studied, and engagement is key here as well, so we need to hook the students in from the start and make sure they're engaged and interested in what they're learning. Difficult concepts the students will face from speaking to the BSTAI and other business teachers is the terminology and the language used, and the way the statement of financial position is structured, and the income statements, and which areas go under which headings. Cross-curricular links. Information technology will be linked because students will be expected to complete the income statements and the statement of financial position through Excel. Mathematics will also be covered with calculations and numeracy, and English also terminology and spellings and meanings of the new words and phrases. The key skills that will be mainly used throughout this topic is managing information and thinking, communication, working with others, numeracy and literacy. From that then we will then introduce an introductory lesson to third year business students covering this accounting topic, and we will begin by activating prior knowledge. So have some higher and lower order questions around the income statement, business documents, cash flow forecast, just to activate the prior knowledge before we tell them the learning intentions. We would begin this introductory lesson by stating the learning intentions, which would be to understand and list a current asset and a fixed asset, describe and list a current liability and a long-term liability, and be able to identify income statement 1. As a hook for this lesson and to make it more relevant to the students in the classroom, we would use Google Maps and leave the school and go down to the local village through Google Maps. We would look at different businesses and ask for their ideas and their input on what businesses we would like to investigate. Once we have gone into the village, and I'm very hopeful that the village I work in is as pretty as this one, we will identify different businesses, discuss whether they think the building is owned or rented, what the implications are, whether the stock is owned or they have it on an account, and the different implications that different areas have. This will be brought up by the student and they will lead this learning. From this then we would hope to get into a discussion about assets and liabilities without calling them that initially. So go through the stock, the customers, their bank loans, overdraft, and be able to then categorise them into assets and liabilities. From that then we would talk about money, money that the company owes and money that is owed to them, and where they would fall in the income statement as an asset or a liability. Once we have briefly established what an asset and a liability are, we're going to divide the class into groups. So we'll have 6 groups of 5. 3 will have a look at assets and 3 will have a look at liabilities. They will make as many words as possible for that particular section, so either assets or liabilities, and they'll calculate the winner with the highest score. By using Scrabble, we're also incorporating key skills here, so numeracy and literacy will play heavily here. Students will be learning new words, spelling them, and then they'll be counting each letter. So each letter, as we know in Scrabble, is awarded a number. and the winner will have the highest amount of numbers, will have the highest number. So it's incorporating literacy and numeracy. From the words they've established in the game of Scrabble, the class will be invited up to the whiteboard and they'll be asked to categorise each word into assets and liabilities. And from that then we'll have a discussion about what would be a long-term liability, a current asset and a fixed asset. We would then go to show the students a video. This video is extremely good, however it's 8 minutes long, which would be too long to play. So I played 2 minutes to go through assets and liabilities at the beginning. I would refer back to this video again in other lessons, showing snippets again of 1 or 2 minutes at a time. From listening to the video and the words that we've already established on the whiteboard, it's hoped that a discussion will arise about different words and elements. And then I will then show the students a snippet of income statement 1, and we'll go through each line and make sure there's full understanding throughout the class. To conclude the lesson, we would then reiterate the learning intentions, ensure that everybody's familiar with them, and ask them to do traffic lights. So obviously red is that they don't understand, yellow they understand some of it, and green they fully understand. And from there then we can assess and the teacher can plan for the next class and focus on the students that have more difficulty. So as mentioned previously, the main difficulties for students is the language and terminology used. So carriage inwards and carriage outwards would be some of the difficult wording for students to identify with, and the layout of the financial statement. So I would have it structured here as shown in the picture, that students can use as a guide, so when they are completing questions they can refer to this and see where everything should be listed and where they should be structured. The different learning and assessment strategies used throughout this topic will be think, pair, share, group work, jigsaw, flipped classroom, peer assessment, higher and lower order questioning throughout, traffic lights. Homework will also be part of assessment, and a classroom assessment as well. These are very important, and the groups need to be matched correctly and changed around every now and again. For differentiation, have additional questions for gifted and talented students. Ensure your slides are appropriate font and colour for students with additional educational needs, and have additional worksheets explaining the terms for the weaker students, but all students can have them to use for revision as well. Thank you for your time listening to this presentation. Some other resources that we would have used is a network textbook, a visualizer for completing the accounts. We would record it so the students can play it back whenever they need to, when completing questions or for revision. We'll also be using Excel and OneNote for homework and flipped classroom. Thank you for your time.